welcome back to Heteronormativity, our tragic love story. I am your host, Luida Batista, and I'm 16 years old. Today, we're going to be talking about the whole reason I even started this series. So, let's get it. Okay, so basically today we're going to be talking about the lack of media exposure and representation in film and movies in the LGBTQ community, and even just in social media in general. So, to talk about this, I'd like to connect this back to our series, which is heteronormativity. Heteronormativity is practically the ideology that everyone around us is cisgendered and straight. So that being said, why am I going to talk about lack of media and lack of representation? So to explore this topic, I'd like to talk about the Motion Production Code, also known as the Hays Code. It came to life in 1934 and ended in 1968. So what was this production code slash Hays Code? So it was basically the code that queer people could not have a chance, in the sense that queer people had a certain set of rules that if the movie did not contain this, then you are not allowed to publicly be in the mainstream media. For queer portrayal, queer people either had to be villainized, pitied, frowned upon, or used to boost your self-esteem. So this being said, if queer portrayal was put in anything other than a negative light, pack your bags, you're out, like your job done, your career over. So now that you have an idea of what it's about, like, you must be wondering, like, who was the one that brought this up? Like, who was the one that created this and started all of this? It was actually Joseph Breen, who was the head administrator of Hays. This code came about because in 1920 there was a lot of religious pressure about what content was being put in film. And this is really important because film, movies, TV shows, it all has an impact on us because it influences how we think, it influences how we see people, and it has a bigger impact than we had imagined. So let's connect that back to why I'm doing this. So I'm doing this because, of course, it's giving a voice to an idea that needs to be talked about, but also giving awareness about how we should view things and how we should come about our life. Which then, this is media, you are consuming my media, and you are going to be taking whatever bits and pieces you want. So just like in these, just like with the production era, imagine having millions of people watch the same movie and getting the same concepts. So the only concept that you would really be getting is, oh, queer people are to be pitied. They're not normal. Like, I don't even see them. I don't see them in the streets. I don't see them in the movies. Like, what are we doing? And this gets us back to what is called the parasocial contact theory. Parasocial contact theory is basically the theory that if we don't have contact with minority groups, then we are more likely to hold prejudice against them because we don't have any kind of connection with them. So because they were getting exposure, but the only exposure that you're getting is bad, of course this theory is going to work out in its favor, and the connection that people are going to make with that exposure is, you are not good. We're not going to work. We're not going to work. The first movie that had queer people, which was published in 1894, which is way before the production code area, but it was called Dixon Experimental Sound Film, and also known as the Gay Brothers, because in the movie there was a scene with two men dancing together. Heteronormativity was really working there. Like, she was doing it, because at the time it was strange for two men to be dancing together. Like, I don't think there's any notices that they were romantic, but they were just dancing together. Okay, so this being said, think about it. You're in the production area code. You come home, you watch a movie, you see a feminine man, and he's just living his best self. But during that time, because you were shamed upon, a masculine,
It's going to watch that and gonna be like, wow, I can't believe he even like that. Like, that's not even a real man. Hey,
honey, you know what happened to me today? I actually watched this movie, and like he literally like boosted my self-esteem because it just reminded me that I was such a man.
This is where we get it at. This is what heteronormativity did. So yeah, the administration that was pushing this wanted to put a correct portrayal of life. So with this correct portrayal of life, it already shows you heteronormativity was the correct portrayal. You have to be cisgendered and straight. And obviously because the term cisgender was still not transgenders weren't still represented there, it was already like a big issue. So going back to representation. So when you barely have representation, the representation that you're getting is negative, it's not gonna go well. Let's add one more layer. There's only representation of white people. That's already another problem because again, you're only representing one group. You're forgetting the whole other minority group that also needs that representation. And that's also a problem that people are seeing now because there aren't enough representation of queer people, that people of color. Okay, it's already very scarce because it is scarce to see people of color in these movies that are also queer. It makes it harder for those people of color with families that are still trying to understand this. It might even make you feel better if you can see yourself through the screen because you feel normal, you feel represented. So that being said, it works with the parasocial contact because you see people, you're like, oh, like this is just another group of people, and it's fine. When you show queer people, when you show queer stories, it makes people more educated. Wow, it makes people more educated. It makes people more mindful, makes people more open-minded and more understanding. As I was a kid, I was taught that I should be fearing trans people, and so in my heart I always held a little bit of prejudice because I didn't understand trans people up until I watched a show that was called A Força do Querer, and basically it's a Brazilian novela, right, about various topics, but one of them just so happened to be a trans man. So through that trans man, I was able to connect with him, and I was able to see his story and how he came to his decision that he was trans. It explained to me what it was like for trans people to live, and it explained to me why people were transitioning from the gender that they were assigned at birth. And since then, my life changed. My life completely changed because I realized that I was holding prejudice over people that just want to be happy. These different experiences, more coverage, it just helps, which is why we want more mainstream media with queer people, so that especially for children, they don't grow up with prejudice, they don't grow up with hate in their heart, they grow up knowing how these people feel, and so that we can reduce the levels of homophobia and the levels of community. During that time period in the Hays Code, they don't see themselves on TV, they don't see themselves outside, and especially for people of color because they already scattered into TV like in little bits. And to even add on to that with the pressure of just being in society or religious pressure, it's not great. So therefore, today for this video, I will be linking down some queer movies, and I will be making sure to add a little bit of variety, and especially going to be looking out for queer movies with people of color, because people of color are already a minority, and that intersectionality can be used to benefit a lot of people. So therefore, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys all have a blessed day. Make sure you stay educated, make sure you love everyone around you, and make sure that you do something good today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share with a friend, and so that every single one of us can get educated and tear all that hate that we have in our hearts for no reason. Thank you.